God bless you, WME family, and welcome back to another broadcast. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. God bless you, and thank you for all your prayers, your support, your liking, your sharing this video. And maybe there's a few of you that are watching right now that have not yet subscribed. Go ahead and push that subscribe button, and that helps us push the content to you quicker. That helps us get these messages out to you in a more timely fashion. So God bless you, and thank you for standing with us. Today we are looking at Second Chronicles. Second Chronicles, specifically chapter 10. And now Second Chronicles chapter 10 and the book of Chronicles chronicles in great detail the kings of Israel. Now, the three united kings of Israel, of course, being Saul, David, and Solomon. Now, the time of Solomon's reign had come to an end. The time where Solomon would be replaced, or Solomon's kingdom was coming to an end, was nearing. Now, Solomon was a king who started off good. Solomon honored the Lord and honored his father David. David was a different king in the sense that David wasn't seeking his own glory. He wasn't seeking his own agenda, but he was seeking God's agenda. So that's why he was such a near and dear to God's heart. The Bible says he was a man after God's own heart. Did he make mistakes? Of course he did. Did he fall into sin? Yes. But he was also forgiven. He was also redeemed. We have to make room for redemption. We all fall short. We all make mistakes. We all fall into areas where it dishonors God. And so we have a constant need for God. And that was David. David, for the most part, was considered a good king. Now, Saul, his predecessor, was considered a bad king and an evil king. He was disobedient to God and in many major things, but he was also, he sought after a medium, which was witchcraft. He spiraled down. He went crazy. And then there was Solomon. Now, Solomon had, if anybody had a reason to succeed, that would have been Solomon. Solomon was given much help. Solomon was given advice by David before David, as David was on his deathbed. He rose up, and the Bible tells us that he gave Solomon advice. He gave him a man-to-man talk. He told him how to lead, how to guide. And then God himself appeared to Solomon, not in one occasion, but in two occasions. And Solomon was given wisdom, was given grace, was given opportunities that others didn't have. And so whenever you're given opportunities, whenever you're given privileges, take advantage of it. Use it to its fullest. You know, one of the things I like doing is taking advice from older people, because they've been there and they've done that. So they're rich in wisdom for the most part. And so that was Solomon. Solomon started off good. He began to honor God's desires, but he also began to honor his father's, David's desire, because David was the one who really wanted the building of the temple. He couldn't do it during his reign, so Solomon honored him, and that temple was built to worship God. And then Solomon's time came to an end, and we see that in Second Chronicles chapter 10, where Rehoboam is his son. And we'll come back and do a second part on this. But I kind of needed to give you background on who he was and where he came from. Now, Rehoboam, meaning broad people, his mother was an Ammonite. And so he was drafted in because of his father, Solomon. And what did Rehoboam do? Now, Rehoboam sought counsel. And it's not bad to seek counsel. It's not bad to ask around for advice, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Sometimes it's amazing to me that people do things and they don't bother to ask for advice. They don't bother to seek counsel. They figure, I know what I'm doing and I know what to do, and they don't seek advice. And when you look at the kings of the Bible, it's interesting to me also that Rehoboam, and this story is in 2 Chronicles chapter 10, sought the advice of the older men and sought the advice of his of younger men, of his companions, of those who were with him. Now the Bible tells us that Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign. And his reign lasted, was a reign of 17 years. And now what happened with his reign, and again, we'll come back and we'll do a part 2 on this, but his reign didn't last. His reign wasn't as successful as his father's. By no stretch of the imagination was it as even a tenth as successful as his father Solomon. Also, the United Kingdom of Israel was split between the north and the south. And this was because of Rehoboam. Rehoboam had caused a division and a split within the people. He had caused the kingdom to be fractured. The glory of Israel was never restored during the times of the kings because of decisions made by Rehoboam. Because he ran with the wrong advice. Not only did he take bad advice, but he ran with it. He decided this is the way we're going to do things. He didn't seek God's counsel. He didn't seek God's direction. And he was set in his ways. He heard about this and he said, we're going full speed with this idea. And it didn't end well. And we're going to come back and we're going to look at what Rehoboam had did. But it's so important to be led and guided by God. It's so important to let God direct our lives and God direct our steps. He knows where we're going. He knows the best path. It's like the GPS when it tells you where traffic is and where traffic isn't. God knows how to lead us and how to guide us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
WME's worldwide Christian outreach all begins with Native missionaries. Called by Christ to do His work, our Native missionaries are first and foremost soul winners, often facing hostile opposition. They have the courage to reach out to the lost in their communities. WME also reaches children through both Christian education and vacation Bible schools. For almost 6 decades, World Missionary Evangelism has been building churches in both urban and rural areas. And these churches are used throughout the week as not just gospel centers, but also feeding centers, as well as places for education and child care. WME not only sponsors Native missionaries, we train them in WME pastoral education programs and our Bible schools. The evangelism in World Missionary Evangelism is just not a part of the name. It defines our mission, our focus, and is at the heart of everything we do.